Martha, hi!
God, what? That probably came off the back of an ad as well, didn't it? Just ad and then, hi Martha, hi!
We would have had that little Acast, like, zoom, bloom, hi Martha, hi!
And then the theme. Well, thanks everyone for sticking with that. We finally got to do an appropriate hi Martha, hi.
I know, we've been slipping them in throughout the whole of Wholala, and this was the one, this is the moment, this is the one we open with.
This is the one we open with, because today we're looking at season 3. Sorry, season? We don't do seasons back in day.
Back in my day.
And yes, today we are time travelling backwards to 2007. We're doing series 3. Episode 1, Smith and Jones.
I know. I was tweeting that because this is welcome to series 5 of Wholala, season 5.
Yeah, welcome.
Oh my goodness, I'm muddling around. Season 5 of Wholala. I was tweeting about it and I was like, we're doing season 5 of Wholala for series 3 of Doctor Who, and I was like, all these numbers, they really don't make sense.
Oh, these numbers all over the place. And I think what's nice is we're just picking episodes now that are just good fun.
Yeah, exactly. We've come off the back of doing a very analytical review of season 1, 2024 season 1 of Doctor Who, which has been really good, and I think it's what people want to listen to and it's what we want to talk about. But now we're just tipping back into the classics, and we're just having a bit of fun.
This is retro Wholala. This is original Wholala. This is original formula, original recipe Wholala.
It's finger licking good.
Yeah, I had so much fun with this episode. I watched it for fun. When did I watch it? Maybe a few weeks ago. And then I was saying to you, we need to come back to this when we finish season 1. And here we are.
I watched, because I've told this story on the pod before, about when we were at the BFI IMAX and I won a Blu-ray of Series 3 without meaning to. And I was watching some of this and I watched the behind the scenes, the studio tour that Freem Rajaman does of Torchwood and Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And I was watching this and I was like, I've really got to dip into some Series 3. And then you were like, do you know what we should do for the premiere episode season 5? Smith and Jones.
I think so. And not only because it's good, but because I think we clowned quite hard thinking that Martha Jones was going to appear at some point in season 1 as part of UNIT or have been announced by now as lead of the Martha Jones spin-off. And of course, that hasn't materialised.
That's not. I mean, listen, we've not left Clownville.
Oh yeah.
I do. It's been very heavily rumoured that she will be the lead of the War Between Land and Sea. So who knows? Story for another time, maybe. So Smith and Jones was the premiere episode of Series 3 of Doctor Who. It aired on the 31st of March 2007, which was 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17 years ago.
I was 10.
That's
10
mad.
years old.
I was 9. I was a little 9.
It was more than half my life ago.
Oof. And it has an IMDb score of 7.9 out of 10. Very healthy.
Very healthy. And rightly so, may I add.
Well, for anyone who's not seen the episode in a while, it is on iPlayer. We can't say it's on Disney Plus because it's not. You've got to go on iPlayer. You've got to buy the DVD. It might be on Gold. Remember they played Doctor Who on Gold sometimes?
Oh, yeah, they did, yeah.
Well, if you want to give the episode a rewatch, we more than recommend it. It's a very good one. But for anyone who wants to recap the story, here you go.
We open on Martha Jones, a medical student on her way to work, trying to juggle her family drama and keep everyone happy, even her dad's new girlfriend, Annalise. On her way, she bumps into a strange man who takes his tie off in front of her and then walks off. She walks away, confused but unaware that man was the Doctor.
She then bumps into 2 men in leather suits with blackout helmets as she walks into the hospital, but doesn't think much of it. She and the other medical students start the day's training and discuss weird static electricity they've all been feeling. They visit some patients, including Mrs. Finnegan, the salt-deficient salad eater, and John Smith, who Martha immediately recognises as the man she saw earlier. She tells them that she saw him take his tie off in front of her, and they ask her why he did that. He hasn't done it yet.
Martha phones her sister at lunch, but is soon interrupted by a huge rain cloud covering the hospital. But the rain is going up. Suddenly, the hospital is surrounded by a white light and is transported to the moon. A huge crater sits where the hospital was, causing panic and confusion. Martha does her best to keep everyone calm and is soon met by John Smith, who reintroduces himself as the Doctor. They realise that the hospital has been transported with a bubble of air around it, meaning that once they use up the air they came with, they don't have any left.
Soon, they see spaceships land on the moon and are joined by a platoon of rhino-like space police called the Jadoon. They were the ones who teleported the moon as its neutral territory because they're looking for a non-human shapeshifter who killed the child princess of the Padravol Regency 9. They start scanning the humans, and the Doctor soon realises it won't be good news if they scan him.
The plasmavore assimilates Dr. Stoker, but is caught by the Doctor and Martha, so she sends one of her slabs to kill her. After a chase through a corridor, the Doctor kills the slab with radiation, which she expels through his left shoe. Though he ditches them both, he didn't want to look silly. After drinking the blood of Dr. Stoker, she is scanned and perceived to be human, and the Doctor is quickly scanned and recognised as an alien, much to Martha's surprise. He kisses her to send a genetic transfer, which confuses the Jadoon while he confronts the plasmavore.
Pretending to be human, he tells Florence Finnegan that the Jadoon have increased their scans to setting 2, and she realises that she'll have to drink again to conceal her identity. She traps the Doctor and starts drinking his blood with her little straw. Martha and the Jadoon storm in and they scan the Doctor, proclaiming him dead and concluding that he's the alien. Martha takes the scanner and scans Florence, revealing to the Jadoon that she is in fact the plasmavore. They shoot her dead as she screams that they're gonna burn with her, burn in hell!
I've just thought of, not to interrupt the recap, I thought of a bit we could start doing at parties, which is every time it's time for you to have another drink. I just go, they said something about turning up the scan to setting 2, and you start fumbling around going,
then I must drink again.
You've got to start fumbling around and looking for your straw.
Where's my straw? The
God, that made me
relic.
laugh. Yeah, something about setting 2, I must drink again. Anyway, Martha realizes she's messed with the MRI scanner and it's set to explode, destroying everyone on the moon and ending half of life on Earth. Martha uses the last of her oxygen to resuscitate the Doctor and she passes out. He manages to stop the MRI and carries Martha to the window as the rain starts to fall on the moon. The hospital is brought back to Earth and the planet is saved. The Doctor waves Martha off as he walks into the TARDIS and she is greeted by her sister.
We cut to Leo, Martha's brother's party, where the family chaos ensues, and Martha's soon left standing on her own. She looks behind her and sees the Doctor waiting for her. He leads her to the TARDIS, where he reveals that he can travel in time, proving so by going back to the past and taking off his tie. He tells her that as a thank you, he wants to give her a trip in the TARDIS, but just the one. They shake hands and sail off on their next adventure.
No.
This could be the start of something new.
Oh, fabulous. Oh, well, let's hear what the listeners said. Paddy Who, an Irish Doctor Who fan, said Anne Reid wanted to play the villainous Florence with a German accent, to which Russell simply told her, no, dear. True story. I never knew that.
Me neither. Thank you for sharing that with us, Paddy.
Thank you so much.
Hamish Steele, friend of the pod, said, I genuinely think it's perfect and up there with the 11th hour as the best post-Rose jumping on point. Plus, there's a joke about old Savarax ads. Camp as can be, but with a genuinely solid foundation.
Laura at House of Kaylee said, absolutely adore this episode. It's everything you want from a new companion ep. It's funny, it's heartfelt, and the companion gets to be the hero for a moment. I remember instantly loving Martha when I first watched, and that hasn't changed.
Nick Sometimes Draws said, the Saturday this episode premiered, Child, me and my mates went to town and I got my first pack of Battles in Time cards.
Oh.
The shiny rare card inside was none other than Martha Jones, the very same legend we were about to meet later that day. It's called Destiny. Anyway, love Smith and Jones.
Could you get that? So could you get the card before the episode was out?
So, okay, you've asked the right person here.
Uh-oh.
They released different waves of cards depending on when it was out, and there was a wave of cards that came out during Series 2, and then there was a wave that came out called, I believe it was Annihilator, which was cards from Series 1 and 2, but right at the very end, I think the very last card you could get was Martha Jones. You know that promo shoot of her and the Doctor in front of, like, a beach? Like, the outdoors photo shoot?
Yes, I know the one.
That one.
Yes.
It's the picture of her from that, and that was, like, the Martha Jones card. It's like, they hadn't filmed anything yet, but
Actually,
it was like the new
I
companion.
see it so clearly in my mind. It's just like an arms crossed classic.
Yeah, I think it was like a crop, but like, do you know what? I'll show you later.
Oh, I know. I see it in my head really clearly. Don't worry. I see it. I know what I'm thinking. I love how as well, like, Doctor Who's been keeping kids off the streets for so long.
Honestly.
Me and my mates went into town. What did they do? Bought the Battles in Time cards.
As
not a pack of cigarettes.
Should.
At Podcast Gaze said, great intro from Martha. Anne Reid giving it campers tits and rhinos on the moon. I kind of love it.
Spring Flowering Apple said, just rewatched this episode this weekend and I had a great time. It was a great all-round episode and I think it worked well as an introduction to Martha Jones. Cool concept to set the episode on the moon as well. Well, thank you so much for sending those in, dear listeners. And as we mentioned on the final episode of season 4 of Wholala, we would love to start a little segment called Stories. I haven't got a title yet. Tales of the TARDIS, let's call it that, where you send us your anonymous Doctor Who stories, be it an awkward altercation with an actor, a fun convention story, a tale from your childhood, or something silly you just thought up. Your anonymity is key, but we do want to hear from you. You can tweet us, DM us, or email us at hulalapod@gmail.com to send us your stories.
I love that. It's an alternative Tales of the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Fails of the TARDIS. No one says fail anymore, do you know?
No, fails of the TARDIS. We got to work on it. It's got to be as good as Camp or Damp. I don't know. We've got to
workshop it. Yeah. It's a bit like in The Apprentice when Alan Sugar goes, no, I've heard enough now. I've heard enough. No, stop now. I've heard enough. That's how I feel about the audience views at this point.
I could never have enough.
Stop.
Never enough.
I love what Hamish said there, that this is a great jumping on point. This is a very underrated jumping on point, I feel. You could start the show with Martha and just skip Rose. But do I ever recommend skipping the Ninth Doctor? I don't think I do.
No, honestly, I agree. I think when I think of jumping on points of the show, I think of Series 1, Series 5, Series 11, and I don't really think Season 1, not gonna lie, but that's a story for another podcast, which we did last week. But this is actually very soft. Like, it's clear that there's history with the Doctor and, like, someone, but you don't have to know who Rose is to enjoy this story. Like, I feel like, listen, I'd recommend the Ninth Doctor to anyone, but I watched this actually tonight with my boyfriend and my flatmate, and my flatmate just has never really... He didn't grow up in the UK, so he hasn't really watched much Doctor other than the new ones. And he really, really enjoyed this because it doesn't take any prior knowledge to get it. You know what I mean? Like, it's such an easy jumping on point, and it's fun, and it's silly, and it kind of explains the show in itself. Very, very good. Very good.
Yeah. It's easy. It's watchable. It's nice for a little 45-minute romp.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And it's nice that, like, there are tiny little teasers for things. Like, there's a Vote Saxon poster when you're walking past the end of the episode. There's tiny little teasers, but there's no moment when you're just like, oh, that'll be important later. Gotta keep an eye on that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like a one and done. And I love that.
Absolutely nothing in this episode requires explanation because it's all explained, and it's explained in really interesting ways as well. Like, the Doctor being an alien, there's a great build up to that point. Just like, oh, let's hope they don't find me. Oh, why is that? Oh, because I'm like, oh, get out. You're not an alien. Oh, you really are an alien. And then him kind of saying, like, oh, we used to play with Runken radiation in the nursery. Like, there's a fun introduction to him being an alien. There's a fun introduction to time travel. There's a soft introduction here to, like, there were past companions. He's not totally over that whole gig. In Gridlock, we then get, like, the Time Lord backstory, but it's a really nice, easy way in, I think. There's nothing... You're learning everything fresh with Martha in this one.
Exactly. Well, this is what I think is the sign of a good companion premiere episode, is that we should be following the companion, I think, when we watch an episode like this, and we should be retold everything because the companion's being told everything for the first time. And this episode, I think, does such a good job. I think someone said it in the tweets that it gives Martha, like, a little hero moment. It's not like she's just in the adventure while the adventure's happening. She's learning this all. She's showing to the Doctor without her even realizing that she's like, I'm not like everyone else. I don't react like everyone else. She has her little hero moment, but the Doctor is still the one to, like, ultimately save the day because she is, like, quote unquote, a novice companion, you know?
I so agree with you. Let me dial it right back to the opening scene. As a child, I don't think I really knew what was going on, other than I was like, oh, okay, this is Martha's family. I think I loved that she had the flip phone. We've come on now from Rose's Nokia brick. We now have maybe a Moto Razor. I didn't pay too close attention. But there's something else going on here. And I like the idea of, like, everyone being on speed dial. Like, and how does she, I don't know how she knows who's ringing as well. She's on the phone to her mum. She's like, oh, hold on, that's Dad. Like, doesn't look at her
She
phone
recognizes
screen.
the number. She recognizes, like, she looks and she's like, oh,
she looks at it.
She looks at it. But I think it's, I mean, to be fair, on those old phones, you could still save contacts. But, like, do you remember when you used to know everyone's phone number? Like, you used
oh
to
my
remember
God, yeah.
phone number?
Oh my God.
I will always remember my mum's car in 2008 and my old childhood phone number. I'll always remember them.
Yeah, I think I still know probably like my dad's number from about 20 years ago. Somewhere in there.
I was about to, like, say it on the pod, and I was like, I know it's not, it's not active anymore, but I was like, I don't know, Doc's, like, past me.
I think I can, like, think of the shape of it on the dial pad. They'll never know. But anyway, really fun entrance. Love a bit of licensed music, what we can afford of it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that it's all fun and giggles right up until the moment we meet the Doctor, and then it stops dead. Thunder rumbles, the slab hits Martha, static is building on the lockers.
Things are happening.
Things are happening. We're like right into the build. Like she's collided now with the Doctor's world. She's in it, and then it dials it back to the campery. The tension is broken immediately by a simple, honest salt.
It does do a good job throughout the entire episode of flipping between quite serious stakes and quite playful stakes as well. What would a playful stake be? Like a little. What was that brand of? Was it the Early Learning Centre where you'd have the plastic food? Remember the Early Learning Centre? And
yes.
That's a playful stake.
A playful steak.
A playful steak.
A playful steak. When you said it, it made so much sense to me. And I was like, I don't know if anyone's ever used the phrase a playful steak. I really like it, though.
I like it.
Oh, my God.
There were high stakes and there were low stakes in the playful steak.
They find a way of keeping it... Am I being naive? Do they
no,
keep it light?
They do.
Am I imagining it? It's light because it's like nostalgic? Or?
Well, no, there's moments. So, like, this is one of my little notes. This is that and I've spoken about this on the pod ages ago. Whenever there's like a mass panic scene in an episode, people are like genuinely terrified, like running and screaming. I'm a Cancer and I'm an empath, and I really connect with these people. So I see them like in the window, like that one guy that's like screaming into the abyss, and that one woman who's the nurse who's meant to be there for everyone, and she's there like like screaming. And I'm there on my seat, and I'm like,
I know your mic just would have clipped so badly for that.
You know what? I hope you all enjoyed it.
I can't wait to hear back. I can't wait to hear the crunch that just came out of your mouth.
Oh, it's your birthday! I love you! But I was going to say they have that, and then the Doctor's like, oh, I'll have a little shop. Oh, I'll have a little shop.
Oh, a little shop. That's the point, isn't it? They start scanning and everyone's like, they're like, oh, it's a little shop. Oh, I love a little
But
shop.
it's also a fun callback to other episodes. Like, it's a fun little callback.
It's a playful steak. It's for sure. Listen, no, I do agree. Can we also, David's voice in this absolutely sent me. He's doing like a dead-on, like classic David Tennant 10th Doctor voice, but like it's now that I'm realizing, like, God, it really is it's so distinctive. It's such an unusual voice. Like, I've never thought of it really as an unusual voice before, but it really is.
No, it is.
And it's like even when he's whispering to Martha when he first meets, he's just like, wasn't very clever, was it? Running around outside. And he's like, no. Oh, I can't even do an impression of it. No, not me.
Go on.
That's not it.
Going.
Hold on.
No, come on. I've got time.
Brothers, no, not anymore. No, that's not.
Do you know what?
I'm not doing the voice.
Do you know what I think you're doing? Have you ever seen the SNL impression of Rachel Green from Friends, where they're just like, oh, honey, Ross, like that's what.
Where I'm just kind of getting like the vague sounds.
Yeah. For me, it's the bit when he's on the balcony and he does the real like tense Doctor shush, where he's like,
oh, the shush.
1,000 people suffocating.
1,000. How many people in this hospital? 1,000 people suffocating. We owe such an apology to Rose for everything we said. So in the finale,
I love how you're not apologising to Billy.
Sorry,
who actually had the dental surgery.
Sorry, no, you're right. It's Billy. Billy. That we've talked about this before. In series 4, there's a sort of 3-part finale, and Rose appears in the last 2. Sorry for the spoiler. It was 2008. Get over it. And she comes back with quite an unusual accent, and I think she said in interviews that she was like struggling to remember how Rose spoke, and so she had to get the DVDs and like relearn it. And I think what she's also trying to do is show that in the time that Rose has been away, she's become more like the Doctor than ever. And so she is also doing a bit of an impression of David Tennant. And so between that, and then also...
Is that giving her too much credit?
It's giving a lot of credit. And then she also said that she'd had some dental work done. And so between all...
Good for her.
And apparently it was cold. So between all these things, we have... Right now, they're choking on gash.
You texted that to me earlier, and I couldn't remember what you were referencing, and I just saw you said choking on GASH, and I was like, What? I was so confused. I said, who?
Did I only capitalize the word gash? You would have said, what is that an acronym for?
Yeah, you only capitalised the word gash. Do you know what's weird in this episode is the hairstyle choices. I think it's the same hair and makeup artist as the other seasons, but David Tennant's hair.
Oh, I love it.
It does this weird, like, it's like brushed in lots of different angles, but it kind of spikes in the middle.
Yeah, but whenever he ruffles it, it goes mental.
Oh, there's the bit when he is talking about Emily Pankhurst stealing the Sonic and he like ruffles his hair and then I'm showing Arthur, it's like this for like a whole scene.
I love it.
And it just looks like it looks like he's been electrocuted. Oh, what was he saying? We got off red bed, I got wet that day, and then I got electrocuted. So, we've got a right giggly mood today, aren't we?
Maybe a visit from psychiatric.
Yeah. I am obsessed though with us being able to use this episode as a point of reference as to why the entirety of season 1 happens, because of simple, honest salt.
Simple, honest salt. I thought he was great as well. He was great. Anne Reid was great. Not in a German accent, thank God. But Mrs. Finnegan, oh my God, excellent. My favourite line, I think, from her, though there's many, is, all those Michelin star sauces.
I love there's a really
fighting so hard not to laugh at myself this episode, and I'm finding it really difficult.
You let yourself laugh. Hey, you know what? If there's one thing about us, we love to laugh.
I love to
laugh.
Has anyone done a Carmela edit of that yet?
It's Jova. Leave it alone. It's Jova.
It's Jova. It's so Jova.
No, I was going to say she has like those amazing lines. Like, look, I've even got a little straw. But then she has that line where the doctors pretend to be human. He's like, oh, you can meet the wife. We can have cake. And she's like, oh, you are a funny man, but laughing at the darkness, I think. And I was like, oh, sorry. That got a bit real for a minute.
That was a bit deep. There's a line as well that I missed from her. And like, this is honestly, I've watched this episode so many times. So the first time I've heard this line, it's towards the very end at the MRI machine,
right.
And the doctor's sort of pretty much dead from letting her drink his blood, and the Jadoon burst in and she goes, oh, now look what you've done, this poor man just died of fright.
But like, they walk in and she's drinking the blood and she has blood all around her like little chops, and she's like, this poor man just died of... She has such a good cadence. She goes up and down. She's like, oh, hello.
My little straw. The thing is, the Jadoon do actually buy it. They actually don't question that excuse.
But they don't know. They don't get humans. They're like, okay, good for you.
They're like, maybe he did. Maybe he died of fright. Maybe we did.
They're probably like, oh, you know what? That's our bad. And that's
it's not our bad. Here's a compensation stamp.
I always wonder, I was like, how much is that worth? A compensation stamp.
Coming back for a moment to another scene with the doctor introducing himself to Martha, and he's like, oh, not good news for me that they're looking for a non-human. She's like, oh, come on, like, what, you're an alien? He does an absolutely astronomical eyebrow raise. It actually leaves his forehead.
He does the turn, he kind of goes, oh no, I did the wrong eyebrow. Hold on.
Yeah. It's higher than that by a mile. It's like triple that. It's massive. It's absolutely huge.
I'm not the Cadbury kid. My eyebrow can only do so much.
But she puts on this really posh voice for that moment as well. She goes, oh, stop it. Stop looking at me like that. You're not serious. And I'm like, who's this?
It's really like, ooh. But they do, I like how they lay the groundwork for the Martha crush story. Because this is this series where I think the Doctor really like mistreats Martha and he's kind of a dick to her. And especially at the end of this episode when he comes and he's like, go on. Go in my TARDIS, I go in my box. I want to give you a ride. And then as soon as she steps foot, he's like, right, okay, well, only the one, because and you barely did anything. And
just once, you're not replacing her.
No, not replacing Rose. And she's like, oh, because you asked me on a date? And he's like, stop it. No, stop it.
No.
You kid.
She's like, oh, you turn up in a tight suit and you woods me about the universe just to take me on a date.
And you kissed me, and he's like, that was a genetic transfer. I watched it when I was watching with Nick, because he obviously gets who the Doctor is, and like randomly in the story, he just snogs Martha. And Nick sat there and he was like, what? And like he just didn't get
Yeah.
it. And I was like, oh, it's not what you think.
Sorry, look, if it saves 1,000 lives, it means nothing. Mwah!
Runs away.
Never explained it to her either. So her like expecting to like find out that's what that was, genetic transfer. Like from her perspective, he just kissed her and left her for dead.
Literally, they were like, human, no, alien detected. What are you? Like she saw like them shoot people, and she just stood there, the boots down. She was just like, "You're looking for a woman. Her name's Florence."
She's upstairs. They made her kiss quite a lot as well. They made a kiss for the CPR scene too, so she should have gone kind of big, full, open mouth on David.
I'm going to talk about Freema for a bit because I haven't really spoken about her like as her. I don't want to talk about it too much as like what I think about Martha as a whole, because like I'll just go into a big like talk about Martha and how great I think she is. But in this episode, I don't think she needs any brewing. We sometimes talk about Doctors and Companions like needing some time to like settle into the role, and I feel like Clara had some brewing, and I think Amy had some brewing. Whereas like right from the get-go, right from that like really snappy scene with the family, and that she's so quick, she's funny, she really does hold her own as a companion in this episode. And like you can see, like even if you hadn't watched any of the promotion or anything, like obviously we're following Martha's story, but like you're watching, you're like, oh, like this is what the Doctor's looking for, this is who he's gonna go around with next.
Freema kicked the door down, akin to a slab, and said, "I'm going to be an icon on day one. Do you mind?"
I walked into the BBC manager's office and I said, "I want to make history," and that's what this is. But I do feel like I've just seen Wicked this weekend, so forgive me for the Wizard of Oz reference, but
oh god,
there's a bit in it where
Here comes a link.
I love. Wait, hold on. In the Closet Confessions podcast, I'm doing two references now. They keep saying, "Walk with me, walk with me, walk with me." So, walk with me. There's a bit where Elphaba, the musical opens with them all singing about like Ding Dong, the witch is dead, and then later in it, she's like, "And there'll be a celebration throughout Oz one day that's all to do with me." And I feel like poor Freema, bless her, started this, and she was like, "And one day there'll be a celebration all to do with me." And like the series ended, and like the general public was like, "Didn't like that." Didn't like that.
Aw, maybe the general public. I don't know if did the general public say that?
I don't believe that at the time there was a very kind consensus on Martha. And Freema's spoken about it. Like, she's talked about it since.
Well,
like,
I hate that.
Yeah, me too.
Tell you what there was. There was a generation of little gay boys who were about to rise up as the Freema Agyeman nation.
And I rise up.
Given 10, 15 years to brew, and that's where we are.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think
I do actually agree with the point you're making, which is that she arrived ready to be unboxed on day one.
Yeah,
and up and running from the get-go.
And let me tell you, I unboxed that action figure, and I kept it very, very close to my heart.
Yeah, I honestly think her story of every time I go back to it, I think her story does her so dirty, and I'm shocked that there hasn't been like almost some revision sense of recognition of, we gave her like a really bad deal actually on this.
Yeah.
And she almost does serve as just like the rebound relationship who just...
That's what she is. Like, that's what she was written as.
That's what she was written as, exactly. I mean, I think she elevated it to be so much more. She made the character so much more deserving of something more than that. But that's what she's written to be in the Doctor's life, and he's the hero we follow. And it's just a shame that there was never... We've talked about this before. There just needs to be a humbling of the Doctor, I think, beyond that. When I call you, you better come running. Like, it's not enough. It's not enough for me.
Do you know what I want? Because this is really, really throwback. I'm talking like episode, I don't know, maybe like 8 or something of Wholala. We were saying about what we want in the series coming up and what we would do if we were the showrunner. One of the big things we said was bring Martha back. And one of the big things we were talking about is that we would like a scene where the Doctor kind of like apologizes, especially like now that he's been shooting out and gone through his first season. He's like, look, I treated you really badly. Sorry. But the way that I want that now is I would love, if the rumour mill is true and she is leading the spin-off show, for it to be in her setting. Like, she isn't in the Doctor's show. She is in her series. And maybe the Doctor visits at like the end of the finale or something. And that's where they get their moment. And she's like, you go do you, Space Boy. You go fly away. You see the stars. I'm going to be the one staying here and I'm going to be the one running this ship. And that's the tone I want for it.
Yes. And what are we going to get?
Do you know what we're going to get? The Vlinks.
So coming back to Smith and Jones.
Right.
Well, you touched on it there. The meltdown scene where they're like coping with the fact they're on the moon. I love it. I love a meltdown. We don't get enough meltdowns in Doctor Who. It actually happens very rarely that people have a full breakdown, like an actual like mental break. And in this one, it was excellent because we got like 50 in one. And I was like, yeah, like break them all, like scare them, like make them never recover from this. Yeah, like freak them out.
Well, Nick was like, why are they screaming? And I was like, they're on the moon.
That's it. Like, I like that.
Your body wouldn't know how to react.
No, exactly. To allow Martha to have her like, okay, like I'm having a Ruby Sunday, park that moment. But to facilitate that, I'm gonna have everyone else on the moon have a panic attack. And it destroys all seniority. The nurses are panicking. The patients are panicking. The doctors are panicking.
Well, this is what I like, because they have the other medical student with her, and I love kind of like a Harry Potter Neville Longbottom moment where it's like, it could have been her. It could have been you, but it wasn't. It was Martha, because of how Martha, like you said, Ruby Sunday Park, that reacts to the whole scene.
Yeah. There's a tension between them being on the moon and this being really awful and all those panics. But every time Martha manages to get like a glimpse out the window for a minute, it's like this sudden moment of like, it's beautiful, it's amazing, it's so incredible. Like, we're on the moon, we're on the bloody moon. Yeah. And we get like this like soft piano playing.
That was the first swear I ever heard on TV.
What, bloody?
Yeah, we're on the bloody moon.
2 years later, Torchwood.
Torchwood was that year. Torchwood was 2007.
Well, you were in for a shock, weren't you?
Not that I was allowed to watch it. What was the first Torchwood series you watched live? Was it Children of Earth? Because same.
I don't know if I think I probably did find some manner of watching Torchwood pretty soon after it came out. If not live.
I watched Children of Earth live. That was the only one I did.
I wouldn't have watched it with the family, but I would have found some way of seeing it for sure.
Yeah, maybe.
Naughty show.
I'm going to do a bit of a you for a second. The music in this episode is so good throughout. I really want to just talk about Martha's theme for a second, because that like it's such an incredible theme, and they like pepper it throughout this episode, and they do different versions of it. Like when she's being like triumphant, it's very like orchestral and swelling, and when it's like a little tender moment, it's very light and airy. But then just like the general like when the Jadoon are coming in for the first time, it's like that dun 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 dun. Like it's just such good music. I really, really do love. I know people go on about like Murray being bombastic and loud and almost obnoxious in this era, but I just love it, Mick. It's the drama.
It's the drama. Some of the soundtrack can be so obnoxious. I was watching Boomtown the other day, and there's moments in that episode where I actually am struggling to hear words because the soundtrack is just at like 11 and the vocals are at an 8, and it's just like, sorry, Margaret. But I agree. Yeah, Martha's theme is gorgeous. It's so breathy. So I was going to do an impression then stop myself immediately. It's just it's very soulful. It's a very soulful, seductive theme.
That's the word. It's very soulful. I think that's it.
We got there. Yeah. We found the word.
One thing that I love themes. One other thing that I think worked really well, like I've this era has some dodgy CGI, whatever. There are a few dodgy sort of CGI green screen moments. I think the bit when you're looking behind them out of the moon is very kind of like blue screeny. There's a couple dodgy moments, but the CGI, like generally in this episode, the scenes that are completely CG are actually really good. The shot where you see the Jadoon spaceships go overhead and you're like panning down, they pan down and they kind of open up. I would say it is good. This was 2007 TV. This is being edited in 2006 to 2007. Like, I think this is very, very good CG. Like, if you look at, say, Platform 1, 2 years before on Series 1, and you look at this in Series 3, I think it's leaps and bounds different.
Yeah, and they said that ate up, like, I don't think they meant this literally, but they were like, that ate up like 90% of our budget to make Platform 5. So, listen, it looks good. Also, I just think it's a nostalgia thing for sure. Like, it's me looking back at it and being like, oh, I was 12. There was a tweet about, like, some of you criticizing RTD2. He's never going to make it work for you because what you actually miss is the feeling of being 12 and watching Doctor Who. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Shut up. But, I do also so for me, I think there is just a charm to the CGI of this era. Like, when you can tell a VFX shot is coming because before the VFX appeared in the shot, it looks funny because it's been like rendered different. Like they've had to like export it a few times and therefore like, I can't explain what I mean by this, but the live action bit looks a bit wrong and then the CGI appears or like it's a very static shot because they can't have the camera moving.
It's like a live action TV version of when you'd be looking at a 2D animated cartoon and they're like going to take a book off a bookshelf and everything's like a beautiful painting and one of them is just a block of colour.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, I wonder which book they're going to choose. And then
That's
they grab
exactly
it. You're like,
what I mean.
it's that one.
It's like you can tell the VFX is coming sometimes. It just always stands out, or like because sometimes the camera has to be still. It'll be like a static shot, but they'll have like very slowly done like a crop later to make it look like they're zooming in, but they're not really zooming in. It's that kind of thing.
This had so many weird zoom ins. This had so many weird like
many
cuts.
funny zooms.
Like it's really, really funny. Like a lot of like zoom, and then like just like cuts. What was that? There was one right at the end of the episode where the doctor said something, and he like started the sentence, and it was like a mid shot, and then it ended like tight on his face, and I was like, oh, we don't have to be this close. Oh. It was by the TARDIS. It was when he was like, he's leaning on the TARDIS at the end. And I think maybe he's got his tie and it just cuts in his face. And he's like, oh, yeah. And I was like, oh.
When I lean on the box that makes the camera zoom in.
There was a dog on that box.
There was, allegedly. There's some other zooms on the word MRI. Like a shoom. There's...
Kyle watched that and he went, Mree.
Mree. There's a zoom on magnetic overload. There's then a zoom which is so jarring to me on the door locking. And it's just like, there's something about the door. I can't explain why. It's something about that door and just it being, it's a beyond ordinary door. Like, it's just, I don't know why I found the focus on the lock on that door specifically.
Well, it's a million... You've seen that on a million schools, and a million hospitals, and a million libraries.
There was something extremely grounding about that, and it's about this era as well. The way there's no cinematic color grade on anything. A lot of the interior shots in the hospital are basically interchangeable with a documentary about a hospital, color wise.
I was going to say even you could have switched it with Holby.
I wonder where they filmed some of this actually, hospital-wise. We should have checked.
I was wondering that because it does look like a hospital. I've filmed before. I did a show called Bloods, which is almost entirely set in a hospital, and it was an abandoned school. It was like an old secondary school that had been abandoned, and they turned it. But this looked very hospitally to my eyes.
It looked very hospitally, but it looked a bit disused, and I wonder if they sort of use like the earthquake effect of them appearing on the moon to like disguise how in disrepair it was, because it's like, why is St. Thomas's Hospital that battered? I will say as well, I'm impressed that they got a triple Monster of the Weekend as the first episode of a 13-episode series. As in, they've got a vampire, which in itself is pretty sick. They've got the hell of a fetish slabs. They've got the Jadoon, which are they're actually a great idea. I like them being this impotent, useless, obstructive, destructive, thuggish police force. Little bit of a jab about the police, picking and choosing where their jurisdiction does and doesn't end, choosing when they get to kind of dish out justice, when they do and don't care about what happens next. I thought they were good. I really liked them because we had like a nice triple threat.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it doesn't surprise me that the Jadoon were the ones that had the longevity and were the ones that sort of last outside this. And I think one of the listeners who tweeted into us, they put it well where they said, like, as soon as they were introduced, it feels like they've always been in Doctor Who. And they are that kind of character. The Plasmavore and the Slab, certainly, they very much are like Monster and Psychic of the Week. And I feel like they kind of had they're not one that I need to see returning or coming back, but I feel like this whole series did Monster of the Week very well. Like, we had the Carrier Knight, obviously the Macro were technically returning, but they'd like evolved and were completely different. We get the Lazarus monster, we get the Weeping Angels, we get the Future Kind. Like, we get quite a lot of good Monsters of the Week throughout this whole season.
Yeah, there's a lot of nice memorable monsters in this season. Another last moment I'll shout out is the entrance of the TARDIS, it's bigger on the inside, mouthed by David Tennant.
Is it? I haven't noticed.
And apparently that was kind of ad-libbed by him on the day. Love that.
That's really funny. He loves an ad-lib, him. That bit where he was running around the new TARDIS, it's enormous. Like, that was all ad-libbed. And he regretted it because it meant he had to run around it loads of times.
But that was a moment that made 9-year-old, 10-year-old me cackle.
Yeah. Really,
Loved
really good.
That.
Yeah.
Nice that Rose's stuff isn't lingering anymore. The previous one.
Oh, I
what was
did
it?
think that,
Runaway
yeah.
Bride right before this, and he just had things
Yeah.
like available to kind of hold and smell. And
They filmed the TARDIS really weird in the end of this episode, where it made the set feel so much smaller. I guess they wanted it to be like quite an intimate scene, but it's so close up. Like when they're like holding on to TARDIS and going, it's such tight shots when they like shake hands. It's a real zoom in on their hands, and it makes the TARDIS set feel so much smaller, even though it's the exact same set.
That's a great observation, Sam. And I bet they were trying to do a bit of a like, oh, well, they won't they? Is this going to be the new romance? And they were trying to make it feel intimate in that moment.
Maybe, but it just felt a bit chaotic, my darling.
It did. Listen, loves, I like what you were going for. Yeah, I really do. But it just
I
looked a bit-
appreciate it.
It just looked a bit shit. Like, I'm sorry. Listen, I don't be rude about
Listen,
it.
I'd
Matt.
only tell you it because it's true.
Listen, it's just like when he did that close zoom, right, on the doorknob, I noticed it. And then when we were in the TARDIS, yeah, and then he zoomed in really close on their faces, I felt like it was really small. I'm sorry, I didn't like it.
No, sorry, honestly, you lost me at the Zoom. You lost me at the punching, my love. Honestly, love that for you, respect it, but nah, not for me.
No,
you know
for
that bit where
me.
Gemma Collins goes, "There's something wrong with you, honey."
Yeah.
Oh no, and then the other bit where she's like, "Oh my God, Russell."
Seriously, Russell, this is enough to tip me over the edge.
Oh goodness. I know.
Okay. Well, what a good episode.
what a good episode,
This is
though.
it. This is the vibe, I think, for the foreseeable, is little trips. Little trips.
No, I think this is what we're going to be doing, I think, in this season of Wholala. We're just going to be doing some fun trips back to episodes we love, talking about things that we love and also things that you love. We've had quite a lot of people telling us that they want us to do more classic episodes. People are saying they want us to do more spin-off episodes. I think we're going to be like diving around. I can see us doing a few more Martha visits. I think Martha's going to be quite hefty in this Wholala season.
I think Martha's going to be a theme. Yeah, I feel that. Torchwood I've been dipping back into for fun, and it's chaos over there. I wouldn't know where to begin. I'm picking some of that.
I feel like, do you know what I really want to do? Dear listener, tell me if this is crazy. I want to watch Something Borrowed, the Torchwood episode where...
I watched that.
Graham got
That's what I watched
pregnant.
last week.
Ah, did you? I haven't watched any of
Oh.
series 1 or 2 in ages of Torchwood, but I do want to get
It's
back in.
certainly an episode. It's an episode of television that they screened.
I can't wait. Well, before we get there, we've got a little game to play.
Okay.
It's a little game of Camp or Down! First of the season, baby! Now, for anyone who has not listened to an episode of Wholala before, we like to play a little game called Camp or Damp, where we go back through some moments of the episode and we say whether they were camp or whether they were damp. Alasdair, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
I've got my little straw. Camp or damp?
Yes, I like her little straw. Actually, really horrible. Like, I don't know about you, but it actually like changed the way I've looked at straws. Like, and now they don't have those kind of straws anymore because of woke. We don't. I'm joking. Because of woke turtles, we don't have those straws anymore. We have paper. It wouldn't work anymore. You couldn't do that scene anymore because you'd be sucking
It would
up.
turn to mush.
It turned to mush.
Turned to mush.
Straw wouldn't
Oh, the
survive
bit when
it.
she stabs it in the doctor's neck and it just goes like, dooch, like as it stabs in.
Horrible.
Horrible,
Horrible.
darling, horrible.
It changed the way I thought about straws forever.
A Jadoon platoon upon the moon.
He delivers it beautifully. All of his 10th Doctorisms, they're rich in this episode.
Yeah.
They overflow.
How did you describe him? You like your neurospicy boyfriend building a PC.
Yeah, in a really endearing way. In a like, I'm just building my computer, and here's how many pancakes in my spanner. And
She was a naughty girl.
naughty girl. Love it.
And finally, I've got to do it. I've got to do it. Hi, Martha. Hi, come on down.
It's actually one of like the top 10 campus moments of the show of all time.
I'd even argue like top 6.
Tell her, babe, he seduced me. No. Tell her, babe, he seduced me. I'm innocent.
She said you look healthy. No, I said orange.
No, I said orange. Tell her, baby. I wish I could do the
I'm
voice.
completely innocent.
I almost confused it from there with Anne Marie, but it's not the same.
What do you think? Oh my God, what would happen if my mate Shireen, Anne Marie, and Annalise all ended up in a room together?
Oh, only, if only. Well, look, maybe that's going to be when they've got no money left for series 3, and the BBC says, bad news, everyone, negotiations have not gone very well. The new budget is £23 per episode plus parking. I hope we get together a camp podcast. We'll film it in standard definition to save.
I'm putting together a team.
Annalise, Anne-Marie, my best mate Shireen.
Neris.
Where does he get these names from? And we'll just have a camp.
Susie Mare.
Susie Mare. What was it about Susie Mare? She's shorter now.
It's like she's looking good. Shorter, of course.
Obviously. Excellent. All right, I've got a few fun facts for you now, Sam.
Give them to me.
Here we go. Number 1. The Doctor is wearing the same pyjamas he did in the Christmas Invasion in 2005.
I wondered that. When I was watching, I didn't know if that was true or not, but I was wondering, and I'm glad that was proved right.
Must have brought his own with him. The original special effect for the Jadoon weapons, in which the victim's skin would be seen to boil away, was too frightening, and it was altered.
Yeah. Like, brother, like, for the right reason.
You were online, and I thought you were these days, Sam. You're whipping out all sorts of funny things that are tickling me. You on TikTok?
I know. You know what? My algorithm, it may not be as chaotic as yours, but I do get some things sometimes.
Oh, well, that was lovely. It's making me laugh. Anne Reid previously played Nurse Crane in The Curse of Fenric, involving hemivores. In this, she plays the Plasmavore. Both are variants on vampires, or are possibly even the same thing.
Come on, the Anne Reid vampire universe.
I'm sure someone's got a much deeper theory.
I love it.
I look forward to hearing about it. The working title for this episode was Martha, intended to parallel Rose, 2005.
I'm glad they didn't do that, because I feel like if you do it for the first 2, you'd have to then do it for like all of them.
Forever.
You know? And I'm glad they didn't do that. But this is, and I have to think about this, the 11th Hour was the first episode to not have their premiere episode be about the name of a companion, because we had Rose, then we had the Runaway Bride, and then we had Smith and Jones.
Oh, yeah. And even the church on Ruby Road. She was named after a road. In the scene in which Florence assimilates the blood from Mr. Stoker, the boom operator can be seen in the reflection of one of the slab's helmets.
Oh.
I didn't notice.
Someone's got a hell of a fetish. I didn't notice.
I don't think it matters.
Should we do an episode where we look at every single Doctor episode that's had a boom mic, and we just watch this and Hellbent?
Yeah, oh my god, the Hellbent boom mic is one of my favourite moments in Doctor Who, but because it dematerialises with her. It's the way it also fades in and out with the TARDIS. Oh my god, it's the way they've animated the boom mic. Oh my god, it sends me. Wow.
But wait, the thing with that is that, like, they could have just cut it out. Whoever was animating it saw it, and they cropped around it.
I bet it's on the Blu-rays as well. I bet if you go back, I bet they didn't catch it.
We've got to get hold of a steelbook. Listen, we've got a KO-FI. We were trying to get the Series 9 steelbook, but it's everywhere for £500.
If you want to drop £500 in our coffee account, we might buy that. Might just keep the cash.
Oh.
The cash.
We're filled with cash. We gotta stop this episode.
Cash.
Oh my god.
Thank you. I think to do my adjustments. Pockets.
I'm gonna pull this episode
Wrap
to
it up.
close
Wrap
before
it up.
we start quoting Series 4 of Doctor Who before we even got there. So thank you so much for listening to this premiere episode of Season 5 of Wholala. I know the seasons feel a bit silly, but in our heads they do make sense. So thank you for walking with us. In our heads. Now, as mentioned before, we would love to hear your fun stories of Doctor Who. Please email us, hulalapod@gmail.com, tweet us, DM us on any of our social media platforms. We're everywhere at hulalapod. That's TikTok, X, Instagram, Threads, and let us know your fun, silly, scary Doctor Who stories. Your anonymity is key. You don't have to tell us who you are, but we will be reading your fun stories on the pod. So
we're really fishing for these big stories. I think when we get the ball going, it'll be popular. People will see it for what it is.
Listen, you love to hear my ideas for the pod, and you love to go, no one's going to do.
No,
why would we
I
make a
didn't
Twitter?
say that.
No one's going to follow
I
that.
didn't
Why
say
make
that.
an Instagram? No. Why make a TikTok? And you know what? Now we're famous.
We're famous now. Can you imagine if I'd got my way, we wouldn't be famous. Okay, so if you'd like to support the pod, you can rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to your podcast. If you thought this was worth your 5 stars, please go ahead and give them. You can follow the you can follow to the pod. You can follow the pod wherever you listen as well and get notified when a new episode drops. You can go to that Ko-fi, ko-fi/Wholala or Wholala pod, one or the other, and you can drop us 500 quid and you can share the podcast with someone who you think might enjoy it.
Now, as mentioned, we're going to be jumping all around the Whoniverse in this season of Wholala, and I think given what we've been talking about in this episode, we're feeling the itch. We'd love to itch that scratch to either watch an episode of classic Doctor Who or an episode of a spin-off. So we're thinking Sarah Jane Adventures, we're thinking Torture, we're thinking Class, or one of your classic Doctors. We have been trying to collect... I'm collecting the steelbooks for Doctor Who, and Alice is trying to collect the collection. So one of those we can dive back into. Please let us know which you'd like us to watch.
Do let us know. Pick well. Choose carefully. Choose thoughtfully.
And never eat pears.
Clara!
Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Wholala, and we will see you next week.
We'll see you very soon, my darlings.
Bye, Mother, bye!
Bye, Mother, bye!